She stood at the edge of the platform, clutching a worn leather purse that held exactly $10. Her name was Maya Reed, a girl who'd learned to stretch hope farther than money ever could. The air smelled of coffee, metal, and rain, the scent of departures. Maya had been searching for work for weeks, surviving on instant noodles and borrowed smiles. Now she was down to her final bill, a single $10 note folded neatly in her palm. "Just one more train," she whispered, convincing herself the city ahead held answers. Beside her, a man in a wrinkled coat fumbled through his pockets, panic flashing in his eyes. "Miss, please," he said softly. "I lost my wallet. I just need $10 for a ticket home." Maya froze. $10. The universe's cruel sense of timing pressed on her chest. For a heartbeat, she almost turned away. But then she remembered her mother's voice. Kindness always comes back, even when it feels impossible. Maya exhaled, opened her purse, and held out the note. "Here, take it." The man's eyes glistened. "You're saving me," he murmured, voice breaking. "It's all I have," she admitted, half smiling. "Make it count." The departure bell rang, slicing through the noise. The man hurried toward his train, turning once to wave. Maya watched him disappear into the carriage, realizing she'd just given away her last chance at a meal. But somewhere deep inside, an unfamiliar calm settled, the quiet satisfaction of doing the right thing. She turned to leave, unaware that this small act would change everything. And far down the platform, the stranger clutched the $10 note like a promise. The train vanished into the mist, leaving only the echo of its whistle. Maya blinked against the morning light, the weight of what she'd done settling slowly in her chest. Her stomach growled, reminding her that generosity didn't fill hunger. She opened her purse out of habit. Nothing, just a train receipt and a single hairpin. "Well," she muttered, forcing a laugh. "Guess it's me and Faith now." The city outside the station roared alive. Engines, chatter, footsteps, all moving faster than her thoughts. She followed the sidewalk aimlessly, her reflection trailing beside her in passing windows. A cafe scent drifted out from an open door. Coffee, butter, cinnamon. Her stomach twisted again, but pride kept her from stepping inside. The sky began to gray, a thin drizzle softening the noise of the street. She found a bench beneath an awning and sat, watching umbrellas bloom like flowers. The man's face replayed in her mind. His trembling hands, his voice, the relief. "At least one of us made it home," she whispered. A bus splashed through a puddle nearby, scattering water across her shoes. Maya laughed quietly at the irony. Wet, broke, and somehow still hopeful. A man across the street watched her from a diner window. Same wrinkled coat, same weary eyes. He reached for the note in his pocket, the one she'd given, unfolding it carefully. His expression changed, guilt mixing with gratitude, as if realizing he owed more than thanks. Outside, Maya shivered, unaware that fate was quietly turning its gears. Somewhere, in that gray city morning, two lives had begun to circle the same path. The drizzle softened to mist, coating the streets in a silver glaze. Maya hugged her coat tighter and rose from the bench, ready to head anywhere the road allowed. A sudden voice broke through the rain. "Miss, wait!" She turned, startled. The same man from the station, soaked but smiling, clutched something in his fist. "You again?" she said, half laughing, half bewildered. He stopped just short of her umbrella. "I had to find you. Did you miss your train?" He shook his head. "I made it. And because of you, I got home to my daughter." Maya blinked, warmth cutting through the chill. "That's good. I'm glad." He opened his palm. Inside lay the same $10 note, now creased and damp. "I don't need this anymore," he said quietly. "You gave me more than money. You reminded me people still care." Maya hesitated, eyes on the note. "Keep it," she said. "Maybe pass it on someday." "At least take this," he insisted, offering a small business card wrapped around a folded train ticket. The card read, "Evan Clark or Clark Logistics Group. You helped the wrong stranger. he added with a grin. Turns out, I own the trains. For a heartbeat, the noise of the street disappeared. Just rain, breath, and disbelief. Come by my office tomorrow, he said. Let me return the favor. She stood frozen, card in hand, wondering if this was luck or destiny pretending to be coincidence. As he walked away, Maya looked down at the damp business card. Her name reflected faintly in the glass of a puddle. She whispered, maybe kindness really does come back. The train whistle echoed again in the distance, as if the city itself had heard her. And for the first time in months, Maya didn't feel lost. She felt found. The next morning, sunlight spilled through cracked blinds in Maya's small rented room. Her alarm buzzed weakly, though she'd barely slept. The business card still lay beside her pillow. Clark Logistics Group, she whispered, tracing the embossed letters. What am I even doing? After a long shower and a borrowed blazer, Maya stood before a tall glass building downtown. People hurried past. Suits, coffee cups, phone calls. A world she'd once dreamed of joining. She inhaled sharply, tucked the card into her pocket, and stepped inside. The receptionist looked up, polite but curious. Good morning, ma'am. Do you have an appointment? Not exactly, Maya admitted. I'm here to see Mr. Evan Clark. The receptionist's brows rose, then softened. One moment, please. Moments later, an elevator dinged. A tall man stepped out, the same man from last night, now in a crisp suit. Maya, he greeted warmly. You came. She exhaled, half relieved, half stunned. You didn't think I would? I wasn't sure, Evan replied. Most people think I'm joking when I say I owe them everything. His office was massive, walls of glass, polished wood, and city views that looked like power itself. Maya sat opposite him, feeling like a trespasser in someone else's dream. I meant what I said, Evan began. That night changed everything for me. I didn't do much, Maya said quietly. It was just $10. To you, maybe, Evan countered. But for me, it meant getting back to the one person who matters most. And now, he continued, sliding a folder across the desk, I'd like to return the favor. Inside were papers, an employment form. Executive assistant. Full-time. Starts Monday. You're offering me a job? She asked, voice trembling. I'm offering you a chance, Evan said simply. Because people who lead with kindness deserve one. Maya's first day at Clark Logistics began under gray skies, the kind that made the whole city feel like it was holding its breath. She stood outside the revolving doors, clutching a second-hand umbrella, rehearsing polite smiles and handshakes in her head. Inside, everything was sleek, rhythmic, the hum of printers, click of heels, murmur of strategy meetings. Maya's desk was near the window, overlooking the skyline she once watched from bus stops. Welcome aboard, Evan said as he passed, his tone casual, but his eyes steady. You'll do great. She nodded, hiding the tremor in her voice. Thank you. I'll try not to disappoint. The morning went smoothly, answering emails, organizing files, learning names. But after lunch, things began to blur. A meeting invite appeared on her screen. Client presentation prep, 3 p.m. You'll handle the visuals, said Lauren, the senior assistant, sharp-voiced and immaculately dressed. Maya froze. The visuals? Yes, Lauren replied briskly. Mr. Clark likes clean transitions, no clutter. He hates mistakes. Maya had never made a corporate presentation before. Her heart pounded as she clicked through templates, searching for order in chaos. Hours blurred into minutes. The lights dimmed as the conference room filled with people. Maya, Evan called gently. You ready? She nodded, forcing confidence. The screen flickered, then froze. A soft murmur rippled across the room. Maya's palms went cold. It's okay, Evan said calmly, stepping forward. Take your time. But the laptop wouldn't respond. Maya felt every eye on her. You don't belong here, a voice whispered in her mind. Finally, she pulled out a USB backup. She'd made one just in case. The slides appeared, clean and sharp. The room exhaled. When the presentation ended, applause followed, polite but real. Later, in the hallway, Lauren stopped her. "Not bad," she said coolly. "For your first day." Alone at her desk, Maya looked out the window. Rain clearing, sun slipping through clouds. She whispered to herself, "I belong here." Days turned into weeks, and Maya began finding her rhythm at Clark Logistics. She greeted colleagues, managed meetings, and even learned to read Evan's subtle cues. A raised eyebrow for "wrap it up," a slight nod for "continue." But every now and then, she'd catch him staring out the window, lost in a silence that didn't match his success. One evening, long after most had gone home, Maya stayed late, sorting through old reports. That's when she found it. A small, torn photograph tucked inside a dusty folder. A younger Evan, smiling, holding a woman and a little girl in front of a modest house. Maya blinked, the same little girl from the flashback he'd shown her. Her curiosity gnawed at her. Who was the woman? And why did the photo look abandoned? The next morning, she hesitated before placing the picture on his desk. "I found this while organizing the archives," she said gently. His fingers froze midway to his coffee. For the first time, Maya saw something break in his composure. "Where did you find that?" he asked quietly. "It was tucked between old files." "I didn't mean to pry," Maya replied softly. Evan leaned back, eyes distant. "That was before everything changed." "What happened?" she asked carefully. He sighed. "My wife passed away 8 years ago. The company was on the brink of collapse. I buried myself in work and nearly lost my daughter in the process." Maya listened quietly, her earlier assumptions unraveling. That night at the station, Evan continued, "I'd hit rock bottom. I'd missed my train and thought maybe the world had too. Until you showed up." The room fell silent, filled only by the hum of city lights beyond the glass. "I guess fate doesn't forget kindness," Maya whispered. Evan smiled faintly. "No, it doesn't." The months that followed felt like a dream finally taking shape. Maya had become the quiet backbone of Clark Logistics, efficient, trusted, calm under pressure. Evan often joked that she was the engine behind the empire. But success has a way of testing what it gives. One Friday evening, as most employees left early for the weekend, Maya stayed back to review an urgent shipment report. The report didn't look right. Figures didn't match the invoices. Her brow furrowed. "These totals are off by thousands." She cross-checked another file, same issue. "Lauren," she muttered, recognizing the name tied to every faulty report. Maya's stomach twisted. Lauren, the senior assistant who doubted her on day one. She looked at the clock. 9:42 p.m. The office was silent except for the rain against the glass. Maya hesitated, then clicked, "Print." Suddenly, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. A message popped up. "Stop digging, Maya." Her breath caught. She glanced toward the corridor empty. She gathered the documents and hurried out, the storm outside now in full force. By the time she reached the exit, thunder cracked overhead. She ran through the rain, every shadow feeling heavier than it should. At the bus stop, she caught her reflection in the glass, drenched, trembling, determined. "Not again," she whispered. "I won't lose everything again." She didn't see the car parked across the street, headlights dim, a figure watching her leave. The next morning, Maya arrived early, rain still dripping from her coat sleeves. She placed the printed reports in a neat folder, sealed it, and walked straight to Evan's office. "Morning, Maya," Evan greeted, looking up from his desk. "You're early." "We have a problem," she said simply. He scanned the numbers, his brows tightening. "This can't be right," he muttered. "Lauren handles the approvals." "Exactly," Maya interrupted quietly. "The errors lead back to her." Evan leaned back, exhaling deeply. "She's been with me since the beginning. I trusted her." Before he could say more, the door burst open. Lauren stood there, sharp as ever, a cold smile cutting through the tension. "So," she said smoothly, "you found the numbers." Evan rose slowly. You've been falsifying shipments? Not falsifying, she corrected. Redirecting. To keep us afloat while you were busy saving lost causes. Maya stepped forward. You're stealing from the company. And you? Lauren sneered. A nobody who walked in off the street. Think you understand how this place survives? Enough! Evan snapped. The word echoed off the glass walls. Security was called. Lauren didn't resist. She only smirked as she was escorted out. Afterward, the silence in the office was heavier than before. You saved this company, Evan said finally. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. How much worse? Maya asked quietly. Lauren won't go quietly. She knows things that could destroy everything. Maya felt a chill crawl up her spine. Then we'll fix it, she said. Together. By Monday morning, the entire building was whispering. News of Lauren's removal had spread like wildfire. Half disbelief, half relief. Maya walked in calmly, but inside, her stomach churned. Evan had warned her, Lauren won't just walk away. Be ready. That warning proved true sooner than expected. Anonymous messages started appearing in her inbox. Subject lines like, you don't belong here, and enjoy your job while it lasts. First, she ignored them. But then, strange things began to happen. This isn't a coincidence, she muttered. Late that night, as she prepared to leave, she saw something outside through the office glass. A shadow standing by Evan's car. She froze, gripping her phone. Evan. Someone's in the parking lot. By the time security arrived, the figure was gone. Only a faint shoe print left in the puddles. The next day, an article surfaced online. Clark Logistics accused of financial fraud. She's trying to destroy us, Evan said, voice low but steady. Can we prove it's her? Maya asked. Not yet, Evan replied. But she's leaking old data, and she knows which wounds to reopen. For the next few days, Maya barely slept. Each night, she'd check the locks twice, recheck files and backup drives. Every sound felt louder, every hallway darker. One night, she found a single envelope on her desk. No name, just a wax seal, Lauren's initials. Inside, a single note. You took my place. Now I'll take yours. Maya's breath hitched. Somewhere in the building, a light flickered. She whispered, almost to herself, this isn't over. The next week felt like an avalanche. One accusation turned into 3, then 5. Within days, Clark Logistics was trending for all the wrong reasons. Investors began calling, journalists waited outside the building, and employees avoided eye contact. Maya watched as security escorted boxes of old files into evidence rooms. This isn't your fault, Evan told her quietly. She planned this long before you came. But Maya couldn't shake the guilt. If I hadn't found that report. You did the right thing, he cut in firmly. Truth always comes with a cost. Outside, protesters gathered with signs, corruption, and justice for workers. Maya walked through the lobby, feeling every eye on her. That night, the board called an emergency meeting. Evan, one director said, until this clears, you're suspended as CEO. The words hit like thunder. Evan didn't argue, he just nodded slowly. Maya stood helpless at the edge of the room, her throat dry. Afterward, Evan found her packing her things. You don't have to go, he said. They'll fire me next, she whispered. I saw what they did to her. I can't stay. Maya, he said, pausing. No matter what happens, don't let this world harden you. She nodded faintly. I just wanted to make things better. That night, she walked out for the last time. City lights blurred through rain, her figure small beneath towering buildings. As the elevator doors closed, she caught one last glimpse of Evan, standing alone in the empty lobby. The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. Maya sat on a park bench near the river, her coat soaked, the city skyline blurred behind mist. Her phone buzzed again. Another news alert about Evan's suspension. She turned it face down. She couldn't read one more lie. In her lap lay the same worn wallet she'd carried since college. Inside, exactly $10. Her last. Full circle, she whispered. That single bill had once changed her life, when she'd lent it to a stranger at a station. Years ago, desperate and hopeful. Now it was all she had again. She thought about calling Evan. But what could she say? That she missed believing in something? Instead, she slipped the phone away and stood. The city felt different now. Colder, quieter, as if it too was ashamed. She wandered until her feet ached and her mind went numb. At the corner of a cafe window, she saw her reflection. Hair matted, eyes tired. She barely recognized herself. Inside, a young waitress was closing up, stacking chairs. Maya tapped the door. "Is it too late for coffee?" "1 cup," the girl said, smiling. "On the house." Maya sat by the window, hands wrapped around the mug like a lifeline. Steam rose slowly, fogging the glass. "Rough day?" the girl asked. Maya nodded with a tired smile. "Feels like my life forgot to send me a memo." The waitress shrugged. "Sometimes life crashes so it can reboot." When she left, she slid the last $10 bill under the tip jar. A tiny gesture of thanks or faith. Outside, the rain finally eased. For the first time in weeks, she looked up and saw a break in the clouds. A thin silver line of light. She didn't know how to fix everything. But somewhere inside, a voice whispered, "Start with one good thing." The morning after the storm, sunlight spilled across the streets like forgiveness. Maya woke to the sound of birds for the first time in months. Her phone vibrated again, but this time, no headlines. Just a message. "Thank you for believing in me, E." She stared at it, heartbeat quickening. Could it really be him? She opened the attached photo, Evan in a hospital corridor, handing a donation check to a nurse's fund. The caption read, "Starting again." Maya felt a lump rise in her throat. The man she'd helped years ago had fallen, and was choosing to climb again. She grabbed her coat and stepped outside. The air smelled like new beginnings. Every billboard, every storefront looked different now. Not because they changed, but because she had. At the train station, the same bench waited by platform 4, the place where it had all begun. She sat down, remembering the trembling stranger she'd once trusted with her last $10. Beside her, an elderly man struggled with a ticket machine. Maya smiled and helped him feed the crumpled notes. "You remind me of someone," he said, eyes twinkling. When he left, Maya noticed a folded envelope on the bench. Inside, a cashier's check for $50,000 and a note. Investment repaid with interest. E. For a moment she couldn't breathe. The world tilted, flooded with gratitude and disbelief. She laughed through tears, loud enough that strangers turned and smiled without knowing why. The same bench that once stole her last dollar had just given her life back. Maya whispered, "Kindness always finds its way home." 1 week later, Maya stood on the same street where her story had fallen apart, and quietly started again. The envelope with the check was now locked in a drawer at home, untouched. She didn't see it as money. She saw it as proof that kindness wasn't foolish. It was currency in disguise. Maya returned to the hospital where she'd once worked part-time during college. The same nurse who once trained her was still there, older, slower, but smiling. "Back for another shift?" the nurse teased. "No," Maya said softly. "I'm here to help." She donated a portion of the money to the hospital's patient fund, anonymously. The rest, she decided, would start something new. A fund for people who had nothing left but hope. Late one evening, she walked through the city park again. Same one where she'd sat in the rain. Children ran past, chasing soap bubbles. She smiled, same spot, different heart. As she sat on a bench, an exhausted young man approached. "Sorry, miss, you wouldn't happen to have a few dollars? I lost my wallet." Maya's lips curved into a gentle, knowing smile. She reached into her wallet, pulled out a crisp $10 bill, the only one she carried on purpose. "Here," she said. "It's not much, but maybe it's enough." The man's eyes watered as he accepted it. "Thank you. I swear I'll pay you back." Maya laughed softly. "You already have." As he walked away, Maya leaned back and whispered to herself, "Full circle." The music swells. Not a sad melody, but one that feels like sunrise. Sometimes all it takes to change everything is the courage to give, even when you have nothing left. Started small, one email, one message, one quiet story shared online. Maya didn't promote the Hope Fund. She simply told the truth. How a stranger's generosity saved her when she had nothing. The next morning, her inbox overflowed. Messages from people who'd read her story. A teacher, a single mother, a taxi driver, all asking how they could help. Some sent small donations. Others volunteered. But most said the same thing. You reminded me that good still exists. Within a month, the Hope Fund had quietly helped 37 families pay rent or buy groceries. Maya didn't chase recognition. She preferred to stand in the background, watching others shine. One evening, she passed the cafe where the young waitress had once given her free coffee. The same girl waved her in. You again. I saw your story online. You started that fund, didn't you? Maya laughed. Guess it found its way back here. The waitress poured her a cup and said, No charge. This time it's on me. Maya took a sip, tasted like the past, and the future. That night, she walked home under the same bridge where she'd once stood hopeless. She noticed something new. On the wall, a spray-painted phrase in messy handwriting. Kindness lives here. She touched the wall, tears glistening. The world wasn't perfect, but maybe it was healing. Later, as she journaled, she wrote one line she'd never forget. The moment you give freely, you stop being poor. The next morning, another donation arrived. Anonymous, signed only with an initial E. Maya whispered, He kept his promise. The music swells, soft strings rising as the city wakes outside. Kindness had come full circle, and now it was multiplying. Years passed. The world changed, but some things stayed the same. The Hope Fund grew quietly, like a tree no one planted but everyone watered. Maya never became rich, but she became something rarer, content. Every month, new letters arrived, handwritten, heartfelt. Some came from families she'd helped, others from people who'd been inspired to help someone else. Each story began the same way. Someone once gave me hope. On quiet evenings, she'd walk to the same park bench, her thinking place, her circle of life. The bench had aged, but so had she. Both carried stories only time could carve. Children played nearby. One little girl tripped and dropped her ice cream. Maya knelt, bought her another one, and smiled. Thank you, lady, the girl giggled. As Maya walked away, she heard the child whisper to her mother, When I grow up, I want to be kind like her. That night, Maya returned home to a small box she kept hidden under her bed. Inside was the first $10 bill, framed and faded. Beneath it, a note she'd once written to herself, Kindness doesn't end with me. She smiled, whispering, I kept my promise. Outside, the city glowed thousands of lights, each one a story connected to hers. The Hope Fund had grown far beyond her reach, helping students, families, and strangers she'd never meet. Somewhere, a young man sat at a station, holding a $10 bill he'd just received from a kind stranger. He looked up, eyes full of gratitude. The cycle had begun again. Maybe the world doesn't need miracles. Maybe it just needs reminders.